Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, October 17, 2023. I'm Rochelle Batiste with the details. Deputy Chief Agriculture Officer Colville King said St. Vincent and the Grenadines' status as the breadbasket of the Southern Caribbean is continually being threatened by climate change, natural disasters, and global crises. King, who was at the time addressing the World Food Day ceremony at the SVG Postal Corporation car park yesterday, said the effects are more pronounced in water-stressed areas, including the Grenadines, in the rain-shadow leeward communities, and along the coastal areas. The Deputy Chief Agricultural Officer also noted that more is required from every Vincentian to help achieve the CARICOM goal of reducing the region's food import bill by 25% by 2025.
In particular, our success depends on our ability to access and better utilize clean, safe water to produce food required for our domestic population, visitors, and export markets. As such, this year's theme provides an opportunity for us as stakeholders to deepen our partnerships, showcasing technology and best practices, and some of which you would see here today.
King also made a call for deeper partnerships in several areas, including the protection of the forest, noting that the forest is the primary source of year-round flow of clean water, and if it is not maintained, there will be serious consequences for the production of food.
At the farm and the community level, planting of trees, such as wind, provides, for example, windbreaks, which can create microclimates, which in turn allow us to produce more annual crops and have better yields. But also, trees are most suitable in terms of our resilience, withstanding greater levels of droughts and dry periods, and rebounding from such events. My call, therefore, in this regard would be for forest users, for farmers, etc., to be encouraged to complement the Forestry Division's attempt at maintaining and even enhancing the national forest. After all, as I mentioned earlier, it is our primary source of fresh water. Secondly, harvesting, storing, and conserving water is, I think, one of our biggest constraints to production. Our production is seasonally driven, and in the dry season, we all know that food production declines. I think it's time that we simply need to address the issue of that rainfall that simply after each shower runs off to the sea and not captured in any significant way. I am challenging farmers to adopt the attitude of the people in the Grenadines, to incorporate storage of water as part of your survival strategy.
World Food Day was observed yesterday, Monday, October 16, 2023, under the theme Water is Life, Water is Food, Leave No One Behind. Vincentians and other nationals across the region have been told to brace themselves for the implications of the war between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The warning comes from Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who said one of the impacts of the war already seen in countries across the region is the rise in oil prices, which he expects to go up even further, and more difficulties could be on the horizon as there's a threat of the widening of the conflict involving other countries in Europe and the Middle East. He was speaking virtually with ABS television in Antigua during a special program on Sunday focusing on the war, the Middle East, and its implications for our region. PM Gonsalves said the UN Security Council and the United States of America, which is the primary supporter of Israel, has a particular responsibility to lobby for peace among the warring parties.
Peace is not something easy, and within the particular and in particular circumstances, even more difficult. But there's the backdrop of United Nations Security Council Resolution 242, and subsequently the Oslo Accords, and the Security Council 242 speaks to a having a quest for just and lasting peace, and for the nations there to live side by side with clear, precise borders, and they can live together. If even you don't agree on a wide range of things, you can live together in peace. And that is what the international community has to go for, because a wider spread of this is going to be worse than Ukraine. Of course, one has to feel deeply for the persons who have suffered as a consequence of the incursions by Hamas. And now we see that on the face of it, Israel is in breach of international humanitarian law in the manner in which they're proceeding with their response. So the suffering, the occupation, the settler colonialism, which the Palestinians have had to endure, including the blockade of Gaza for the last 16 or 17 years, they have given rise to intense resistance. And now we see the retaliation from Israel. There are large geopolitical questions at stake.
Absolutely.
And all of them will have impact. If this, already we're having an impact on prices, oil prices, and they will go up even more, because this is going to be a prolonged battle. It's not going to be easy.
Noting that fashioning peace among the warring sides will be difficult, PM Gonzalez said humanitarian law is being offended, and however, it is a matter that has to be dealt with as a matter of urgency to stop the bloodshed.
Absolutely.
And to understand the history. But this is a blot on humanity and world civilization and the responsible international community. And as I repeat, it is impacting our part of the world, and you can see it taking place all over the world, the protests, not only among Muslims. We have a significant Muslim population in Suriname and in Trinidad
and Tobago.
And Tobago. So in addition to the wider issues which we're talking about, and rising prices and the like, and the potential for a larger conflagration, we haven't seen the end of this yet. We have to be mature, we have to be understanding, and we have to apply our hearts to wisdom. There has to be compromises in order for us to go to peace. Of course, the Palestinians have compromised themselves virtually off the whole map, as your brother has just shown, or if not compromised, the matters have been taken away from them. These are not, the points we are making here are not anti-Israeli points. These are points in favor of peace, and people in Israel, though there is an overwhelming desire for revenge, mixed with that, they know that that is not sustainable. And that is why you have this call also for peace, and including, incidentally, a demand for Netanyahu to go. No, I don't want to get involved in internal Israeli politics. I'm reporting what I'm also reading coming from the press in Israel.
The freshwater fish, crayfish and crabs of St. Vincent plastic field identification card was launched here today. The cards were produced as part of the outreach component of the ongoing SVG Environment Fund project and are intended to assist students, educators and interested persons to identify the species found in our rivers and to raise awareness about our freshwater biodiversity. Over the last few months, retired principal of the Thomas Saunders Secondary School, John Renton, partnered with the St. Vincent and Grenadines Environment Fund, the Forestry and Fisheries Department, to conduct a research into the freshwater fish and crustaceans across St. Vincent. Executive Director of the St. Vincent and Grenadines Environment Fund, Louise Mitchell, said they are pleased to have supported the project.
And one of the main reasons why the Environment Fund wanted to support a project like this is because we believe if something is unknown, you can't really value and appreciate it. And we felt that if we have information about what species are in our rivers, then this would help to build an awareness about why we need to actually protect the rivers. Because historically, we have used our rivers in St. Vincent for many different things, but one of the things we've used them for is as a garbage dump. In many communities, we simply take unwanted litter and we put them into our rivers.
Mitchell said now that persons will be made more aware of the different species of freshwater fish, they would take more pride in protecting them.
We are hoping that this project, which tells us about what species actually live in rivers, rivers will now become, to us, we will have a better sense of awareness that this is actually a habitat for species. So when you're throwing litter into the rivers, remember that you are affecting the source of life. The source of life for fish, the source of water which we drink. Rivers are important for so many different reasons. They're important for irrigation. They're important because they provide fresh water. They're important because they provide water for hydroelectricity. And most importantly, they provide a habitat for these fish species. And we have many communities that are dependent on these species for their livelihoods. We have persons who collect river lobsters to eat, and also we have the very, very important treachery fish industry. And the treachery industry cannot survive unless we have clean rivers. So the whole idea behind this project is ensuring that we become familiar with what species we have in our rivers, and once we are aware of the extent to which there's life in our rivers, that we will seek to protect them and ensure that, for example, chemical waste out of agriculture doesn't end up in rivers and our litter doesn't end up in rivers.
Director of Forestry Fitzgerald Providence commended Renton for his work, noting that he is happy that persons will get to know more about the different river species.
They will fill back themselves. Within a few months, treachery was going up in the river and persons were catching treachery. So, and over the years of being in forestry for over 30 years, we've been always asking this question, where does the treachery come from? And we all had all sort of theories in terms of what fish it came from. But also, forests, as Louise said in her speech, and forests and the rivers are sort of indicator environment of how healthy our environment is. Because if anything goes into the river, from the ridge to the reef, it impacts negatively if any negative things go in there. During the Easter season, we'll say, do not poison the rivers. If you're going to catch fish, do not use any poisons, because the poison doesn't stay right there, and the dead fish doesn't stay right there. It poisons everything all the way along. So we needed to protect our rivers, but we must know the value of our rivers and our streams. So it's important that we did this work. So when John was asking me how can get this work done, I said, well, check the Environment Fund as one of the, and I hope I stand not to be corrected, as the first locally established NGO that funds project. I want to congratulate them for funding this project.
Representatives of the Forestry Department, the Ministry of Education, Fisheries Department, and National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority received the cards at today's launching ceremony. In other local news now, we hear that the SVG Met Service says it continues to closely monitor an area of low pressure located near latitude 10 degrees north, longitude 45 degrees west, or about 1,370 miles east of St. Vincent and Grenadines. The system is said to be moving westward to west-northwestward across the central and western tropical Atlantic. The SVG Met Service says environmental conditions are expected to remain conducive for gradual development, and a tropical depression is likely formed during the next few days. In addition, there is a high chance 80% of tropical cyclone formation within the next 7 days. There is some uncertainty in the latest model guidance regarding the intensity and track as the system progresses towards the island chain over the weekend. According to the SVG Met Service, regardless of the developments, showers, thunderstorms, activity and gusty gusty winds are possible across SVG from bands associated with this system from late Thursday. Residents are strongly advised to keep informed on the progress of this system. There are no watches or warnings in effect for SVG at this time. There are many people in SVG who are living in poverty and are struggling to make ends meet. This is according to leader of the opposition New Democratic Party, Dr. Godwin Friday, who told a town hall meeting in Canada that for those who have jobs, low and stagnant wages offer little hope that they can build a future to improve the quality of their life.
When you look around St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you see new buildings and projects. Some of them are very impressive looking, yet all around us, more people are struggling to make ends meet. I see them every day in my office. There was a time when people come and they ask for exercise books or for textbooks that we used to collect at the NDP headquarters and pass them on to other people. Now it's uniform. It's shoes, but most distressing because it's a need we can't meet. It's, as Daniel said earlier, it's transportation money to get the children to school and the little food money for them to eat while they are at school. And they will tell you they have 2 or 3 children, they send one. I'm not saying this is everybody, but I've been at this for some time. And I saw it this year more than any other. They will send 1, they send 2. Or people will come to my office and they say, I said, where is the child? They haven't gone to school for the week. Why not? Because they don't have a shoe. Or they don't have the money for the bus fare. And I say, go to social welfare, find out what they will do to assist. Some people don't want to go because they make them feel as though they are at the bottom of the heap. But that's the reality. That is the grim reality in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. More people are poor and getting poorer.
Dr. Friday also told the meeting that despite promises in the last election, the ULP government has failed to deliver any real progress on jobs, better wages, and uncontrollable crime.
And currently, they have not shown any credible ideas or plans as to how to tackle these problems, especially the problem of crime. So it should be clear to all but the most fanatical supporters of the government that what I have said is a reality, that our country is headed in the wrong direction. Now, I have set out, my friends and I, my party, 5 priorities as to how we are going to revitalize our country. One is that we must create more and better paying jobs, not just more jobs where Chevron said that you have people with, 2 Cape or 3 Cape subjects and 11 CSECs, and every so often they just get a road work to cut. I mean, honest work is honest work, but that is not what they went to school for. So we have to create more and better paying jobs. We have to rebuild the economy to provide opportunities for all, and I will tell you a bit more about that just now. We have to make our communities safe from crime. We have to ensure reliable and affordable health care that we can trust. And then, of course, the things that everybody who goes home for any short visit will know, we have to fix our roads and our infrastructure, our bridges, our public buildings. They are all part of the production mechanism necessary to revitalize our country. To achieve these objectives, we have to rebuild the economy. We simply have to produce things better, and we have to be able to sell them.
The NDP is also proposing a national health insurance service for SVG if voted into office. Opposition MP for West Kingston, Daniel Cummins, who also addressed a town hall meeting in Canada, said persons in the diaspora will be asked to support the service to ensure that it works for all.
There will be a proper board of management, and you will have opportunity to have your representatives on that board to see that that fund is managed efficiently and effectively. There will be measures in place to make sure that you are reported to on a regular basis on how it is going. I challenge you to think about this. It is not a straightforward matter. There are some of you, obviously, who will be able to say, look, I don't want to become a member of it, but I will make some kind of a contribution to the fund to make it work. This is the kind of initiative I'm throwing out to you from the bottom of my heart. As Vincentians, wherever we are, we want to build a healthcare system, we want to sustain it, and we want to be proud, Vinci, so when we come back home, whether for 2 weeks or for the rest of our lives, we know that we have a system in place. That if you take suddenly sick, we may not be able to do the technical, serious work that will be done here or in wherever you are. But we will have the ability to first stabilize you, the ability to prepare you for travel, and to fly you out quickly where you can get the full service of medical care. That, my dear friends, will give you a level of comfort in knowing that it's not just a scratch on the head you could be flown out for, but for genuine cases.
Minister of Tourism Carlos James says the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines will continue to work with key stakeholders to provide more training for Vincentians interested in pursuing employment in the tourism and hospitality services industry. The tourism minister made a statement while visiting several Vincentians workers currently pursuing opportunities in the Turks and Caicos Islands with Beaches Resorts, a part of the Sandals Resort International brand. The Vincentian workers are in the islands undergoing training and work experience in several disciplines in the hospitality services industry ahead of the much anticipated opening of Sandals Resort St. Vincent and the Grenadines on March 27, 2024. According to Minister James, the Ministries of Higher Education and Tourism are actively considering upgrading hospitality programs offered at the Tourism and Hospitality Institute, while a major focus will be placed on expanding technical and vocational training across the island. The tourism minister noted that there are several institutes across the country which they are hoping to provide a wide range of hospitality programs to Vincentians with the aim of increasing the human resource offering in the hospitality services sector. The cohort of over 40 Vincentians at Beaches Resorts joined the 200 plus Vincentians to have participated in the hospitality training program with Sandals, an initiative facilitated through the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Over the last week, over 1,000 Vincentians participated in a recruitment drive held at the Kingston Baptist Church by Sandals, while over 140 persons were interviewed for recruitment on MSC Cruise Lines at the cruise ship terminal. In more local news now, we hear that Director of the National Commission on Crime Prevention, the NWCP, Rodney Small, says that a fair amount of persons who commit crime lacks attention and love. In terms of crime prevention, Small said the NWCP is looking to implement a number of programs and initiatives to steer persons away from crime. Small, who was a guest on the Police on the Beat program on NBC Radio last evening, said the mandate of the NWCP is to help reduce or prevent crimes and to educate Vincentians about crime prevention techniques.
Work hand in hand to help to reduce or to prevent crime. For us, there are quite a number of things, really, to see how we can create an environment where our people, our visitors, can feel safe here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But how do we do this? Of course, we're looking at partnerships, we're looking at collaborations, we're looking at different things where we all can now understand and have a sense of belonging, that we all have a part to play in preventing crime. So most importantly, our tagline is building a culture of peace, right? That is one. Another mandate, as I said earlier, is to collaborate with some of these existing programs and these existing organizations to help to prevent and to reduce crime, and just to, again, to emphasize, to educate the populace about crime prevention and the techniques and some of the things that we can really do and come together collectively, and most importantly, execute a lot of these things from our office.
Noting that a lot of persons are unaware of the roles and responsibilities of the National Commission on Crime Prevention, Small said its visibility and awareness must be brought to the Vincentian public, and they will be doing so with a series of activities.
Because from we got there, we started to do a lot of investigations in terms of our stats. We start looking at the stats because we want to know what we're dealing with. We don't want to plan our programs blindly. So we start looking at stats from the education standpoint. I mean, what are the stats on the repeaters? What are the stats on the dropouts? What are the stats in terms of where some of these crimes are being committed? So we can know how to gauge our program. We want stats from the prisons. I mean, persons who are about to leave the prisons. How do we get them to be a part of the society again? How do we craft these programs that these persons can benefit from and society can accept them, right? So we've been doing a lot of work and investigation and analyzing some of these stats, right? The consultations, we're going to go into the communities, we're going to go into the schools, because we want to hear, we want to listen, because what you would find is that a lot of these young people have their own answers to some of their problems, right? I mean, we have some rehab programs for the prison. We have mentorship programs where we're going to use a lot of our popular Vincentians, not just in culture or entertainment, but just popular people who have a voice, who have an influence. We're going to be collaborating with some entities to do bullying programs. We want to do school competitions. We want to do tourist village. We want to do skills training through Pan Against Crime, Sport Against Crime, tie-dye, craft, business plans, bartendering, fashion, just business on a holistic way. We want to take on the fishing line approach, right? So instead of somebody coming to you every month wanting a $5 or $10, we're going to give them a fishing line and tell them to go and fish. We're going to educate. We're going to go into the school and the communities. We're going to do seminars and workshops. We're going to utilize the community centers to see how we can empower the persons within this community to utilize the community center as a hub or as a home.
The National Commission on Crime Prevention, the NWCP, was established in February 2003 through a motion passed in the House of Assembly. And that brings us to the end of our local news. The regional news is coming up next. Stay with us.
That was the local